All right, what is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode podcast real estate tip. Now, today I'm here to talk to you about the major move the DOJ recently did on Friday, April 5th, and the huge potential impacts this could have to the overall NAR lawsuit settlement that we're all amongst right now, the potential huge impacts this could have on all of our businesses as real estate agents, team leaders, and brokerage owners, and most importantly, what you personally can be doing to be proactive to ensure that you are in the best possible position, not to just survive these changes, but to thrive, to continue to grow, scale, crush it in your overall real estate business and dominate your overall real estate goals. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to make a guess here that all of you watch and listen to this podcast have a pretty deep level understanding to the overall NAR lawsuit settlement, proposal that's taking place right now. So I'm not going to break down all the ins and outs of who's covered, who's not covered, but I am going to cover the four specific biggest changes that are going to impact our businesses directly, meaning as real estate agents, team leaders, and broker owners day to day as we're in the field. But then how, again, the DOJ moves that they're making right now could greatly disrupt and impact these different changes. Now, the first thing that I want to say before I get into these four changes is this. Just because if you're amongst that mindset, and I hear a lot of conversations like this in our industry, but if you're amongst the mindset of, this is an NAR lawsuit settlement proposal, so it's just a proposal, it's still subject to court approval, true statement, that is a fact. But then if you're, amongst the mindset of, well, I'm not going to worry about this or take this serious until we know what the court decision is, because why would I, even worry or let this take up any time, energy, or focus until we have that decision? That, in my personal opinion, is a mistake. I would recommend to take this very seriously. So I don't know if you saw this, but a couple weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago, there was a video released by the president of National Association of Realtors, so NAR's president, and then one of their attorneys from their legal counsel. And on that video, they stated that we do not expect a court decision on this lawsuit settlement proposal until the end of 2024. However, we hear the changes that we are moving forward with a target date of July of 2024. So what is that telling us? That is, they're moving forward with these four changes, regardless whether they have court approval by that time. So, if you are waiting till a court decision, whether it's a yeah or nay, you're going to get blindsided by these and be massively disrupted. So take this stuff serious. Not saying to operate from a place of fear and freak out about this stuff and lose a bunch of sleep over this stuff, but this is serious stuff. So take it serious. History favors he or she that is most prepared, which is why I'm covering these different things with you here today and talking about, because now I've got another layer to prepare on this. We got the NAR lawsuit settlement proposal, which at this point will be best case scenario. Worst case, things are going to get disrupted and we'll have many more changes and much more disruptions, but we got to, have awareness of this and then prep and plan for both different scenarios. So these four main changes are this. Starting again, target date's July. We'll see if that gets hit or not, but four changes of this. Number one, you got to have a signed buyer broker agreement in place before you can show a single property. So that's going to disrupt, AKA, change up a lot of real estate agents' businesses, because most agents don't do buyer brokers, or if they did, maybe it was that time of offer, after they showed a few properties. Well, now it's going to be a mandate that it's got to be signed in place before you can open up a single door. Change number two, within that buyer broker agreement, not only do you have to have it signed and in place before you can show up a single door, or before you can open up a single door, your buyer agent representation fee, like language is going to change, right? We're used to talking all commissions, co-brokes. Right now, your buyer agent representation fee is going to have to be negotiated, agreed upon, disclosed, and signed on the dotted line on that buyer broker agreement, well before you ever know if a listing is offering some element of buyer agent representation fee concessions, right? That's going to all have to be done up front. So that's change number two. Change number three is listing co-broke field, is going away, right? So what listing field MLS, where the co-broke is disclosed of, how much the listing agent is splitting of their commission with you, offer on that field is going away. Change number four is essentially how commissions are dispersed, paid out, if you want to use that kind of verbiage, are going to massively change, right? So historically, throughout my whole entire career, almost 20 years of doing this, let's just say I go on a listing, I'm meeting with that seller. I'm like, hey, my commission, if you hire me as your real estate agent, my commission to go out there and render you, my services to list your property, my commission is X%. Now, if I procure and bring a buyer, my commission is X%. Now, in the event another realtor brings a buyer We come amongst agreed upon terms. Yeah, right. And for them to bring that buyer and do 50% of the work, I'm going to split my fee of X percent by whatever percentage, to go out there, and all that's disclosed and, up front on there. This is why when these lawsuits first came about, I'm like, what do you mean seller pays commission? Yeah, right. And all these, just like, to me, it just didn't make any sense when these lawsuits first came about, because, okay, like my sellers have never paid a commission. My sellers are paying me as a listing agent. I'm choosing to split a percentage of my commission with the buyer's agent. If another agent happens to bring a buyer, yeah, right. So they're being paid by me, through me choosing to split a percentage of that, not the actual seller. But anyway, that's all semantics, right? So, okay, typically, okay, seller paying listing agent compensating buyer's agent. Okay, that is changing up right now. You got seller compensating, and again, this is price stuff that you guys already know. So I know, don't allow yourself to go there right now, because this is going to be what's going to be flipped potentially up on its freaking head and disrupted at a much higher level. Okay, so now you got seller paying a listing agent. And then from there, you got buyer paying buyer's agent, buyer representative. Now that would be true decoupling. And this is the way the DOJ wants it. True decoupling. You got seller paying listing agent for their services rendered, buyer paying buyer's agent directly for their services rendered. And true decoupling would be no way, shape, form, or fashion can the other party compensate the other. Yeah, right. But now, okay, you got it that way structured. But then also, and this is kind of, the workaround, if you will, if you want to call it that. But in the event you have a buyer that can't afford buyer agent representation fee, but they want your services, okay, through seller concessions. So let's just say, for example, and I'm going to do my, cover your ass CYA here. Commissions have always been negotiable, always are negotiable, always will be. So just for example's sake, let's just say as an example, not telling you to charge this, but let's just say as an example, you're doing a 3% buyer representation fee agreement. That's what you're choosing to go out there and charge, your buyer to go out there and represent them, post these changes in July. So then from there, okay, maybe your buyer doesn't have that fee. Maybe they're so strapped right now for their down payment. Maybe they can't afford their closing costs, right? A lot of buyers are in that situation with the crazy cost of life, inflation, real estate. Okay, so maybe, they need a concession for closing costs. Plus now we got this 3% that, you're charging them or whatever that you choose to charge them. So, okay, in that event, post July, okay, we'll be able to go to, the seller potentially, and go to them and negotiate maybe a 6% seller concession to be applied towards buyer closing costs, to include, buyer representation fees. So then, 3% would go to the buyer's closing costs, 3% paid for your fee as the buyer rep, but then from there, it's all paid from the seller as buyer concessions, and pass through that way. So the path of, commission disbursements and how we all get paid is going to change up significantly, right? And again, things that you probably already have awareness of. But how the NAR lawsuit settlement stands right now, the DOJ does not like this because it's not true decoupling, right? And it was interesting. I'm talking, and you guys probably heard me say this in the podcast, if you've been following, watch my podcast, but I'm with my team meeting that same Friday that the DOJ announced this news. Now, I had no idea the DOJ was going to announce this or do this fast or when they were going to do it. But I'm telling my team right before they dropped the ball on the DOJ did on us. I'm telling my agents, I'm like, look, don't get comfortable with this change. And I just said thing I'm saying to you guys right now. I'm like, the DOJ doesn't like these, right? So in my, there's a lot of people out there pointing fingers at NAR. Oh, NAR sold this out. Like, I'm not allowing my mind to go there. I'm not allowing myself to go there. Number one, it's not a good time of my focus and control. With that, like I need to focus on and be proactive on the things that I can control right now, but with that, like, I don't know, I wasn't in those rooms. You weren't in those rooms. Maybe NAR did everything they possibly could. Maybe this was the best possible proposal they could come with us, up with us. And again, I'm not trying to give them a free pass either, but my best guess is this was NAR's Hail Mary to try to appease all parties, appease the DOJ, appease all parties with this. Hopefully there's enough of a compromise that everybody's happy through all of this. And then, we just, move forward. Because with these changes, yeah, they're big changes, but okay, we'll be able to navigate through these changes, very effectively as an industry, at least in my belief. But like I told my team, like, this is what the DOJ wants. So expect massive disruptions after these changes. Like, this is like version 1, V1 of the changes. And we're going to, right? So expect, like, don't allow yourself to get comfortable that this is just the way that it's going to be, going forward. Like, expect a lot of changes after this, because it's in our lawsuit settlement. only covers the seller copycat, cases, doesn't cover buyer, the buyer lawsuits taken on right now. And then again, now, just to give some backstory in the DOJ real quick. Okay, the DOJ with NAR. So in 2018, DOJ, Department of Justice, opens up an antitrust investigation, against NAR for, commission colluding and, all of this stuff, right? But then in 2020, they reached an agreement. They reached an agreement that, okay, hey, like we're all good here. We're in agreement. We're going to close the investigation, close it down. We're going to sign on the dotted line, let you know that we're good. Like they came to terms back in 2020. So then now on Friday, April 5th, which is what, 2 weeks after, or I don't know the exact time is exactly when, NAR came forth with this proposal statement, but very quick. So my guess is DOJ probably had enough time to read this, figure out what they need to do. And then now they just reopen their investigation, right? So April 5th, DOJ comes out and they're like, okay, we're going to go back on our word, go back on our, sign on the dotted line agreement, go back on our word that we're all on the same, we're going back on that. And not only are we going to go back on that, we now reserve our right to open up an antitrust investigation, into NAR at any time. And not just so do we reserve that right, we indeed are going to open up, our investigation starting right now. So again, the DOJ doesn't like this. They want true decoupling. So is the DOJ going to get what they want? I don't know. But it's a high enough of a probability where you should be prepping for it. Now, if the DOJ gets how they want it, right? Where, and this is what I was saying earlier, hope for the best, plan for the worst. So I know that this, the NAR lawsuit settlement may not be best case scenario of what you want or what I want, but it's the best case scenario of where we're at right now. So, okay, plan in your business for that being best case. Okay. And then worst case being, okay, how DOJ wants it with true decoupling, meaning that we're operating how other countries operate, like New Zealand, Australia, UK. So, okay, like I've got coaching clients in New Zealand as an example, and high producing, teams and brokers, that I coach there. So does buyer representation exist? Like, can you go out there and hire a buyer agent? And does buyer agency exist? Yep. But does it exist in practice? Not really. Right? Pretty much everybody goes direct to listing agent, right? Because I want you to think about this. Okay, with your buyers today, as strapped as they are, is crazy unaffordable real estate already is crazy. Like we are now amongst the most unaffordable time to be alive as a U.S. citizen, at or close to the most unaffordable time when adjusted for inflation to ever acquire real estate. So you put all that into factor, and we got all-time high debt, savings evaporating. Like people are in a very, very difficult position, right? We've already eliminated what 60-70% of the regular population that used to be able to partake in real estate are kind of out of the game right now because things have just gotten so damn crazy. So think about this right now. Okay, how many of your buyers, if you can't get this compensated through concessions for buyer representation agreement, if the buyer's only choice, if they want representation, is to have to pay you directly for whatever that fee is that you're going to charge, in addition to their closing costs, in addition to their down payment, with as strapped as everybody is right now, what percentage of your buyers are going to be in a position to be able to go out there and do that? So if this goes through, if the DOJ gets their way, like it is going to massively, massively disrupt buyer agent representation. And then on top of that, how is it going to massively disrupt the housing market, right? We've already got transaction volume just on, continuing to fall off a cliff. Right. So, 2023, things, fell off a massive cliff with transaction volume, decline. Well, we're back to 1995 levels as far as closings. So, but then now we're already down 8% year over year on purchase transactions. Like it's already getting harder and harder and harder with life. So then we add that on. Okay. It's just going to make it where that fewer people will be able to go after the American dream and go. So you have less investors being able to acquire real estate. You're going to have less buyers, it's going to impact, on the buy side. So it's going to greatly negatively impact Americans' ability to go out there and partake in home ownership. Right. Which is why people ask me all the time, well, why is the DOJ doing this? Why is this happening? I don't know. From everything that I can see. Now, I don't know this for fact. I'm not in those rooms, but from everything that I can see, not just with housing, but everything going on right now between what we've experienced for the last 4 years. And if you look at this, it stands back decades. But, my best guess is they've been 100% weaponized against the American people. Right. They see us as the enemy. They want to reduce, not just the DOJ, but just the powers that be. Renters are easily, more easily controlled. Yeah, right. Just appears to be the way the world is moving and way our country's moving. Now, I'm not going to go into down a rabbit hole there in tinfoil hat territory, but this is what we're in the middle of right now. So be prepped, be ready for it. Right. Okay. So then from there, what can we be doing to go out there and be prepared for this? And if you guys have any questions, at least if you're watching this on YouTube, put any comments below, or if there's, other videos, or podcasts you want me to create, doing a more in-depth dive on this kind of stuff, happy to do that, whether it's this, topic or others. If you're listening to this, you can, where you can't leave a comment, you can always shoot me an email, joshua@gsdmode.com. All right, so now what can we do about this? Because we can freak out about all this stuff all day long, but it's not going to serve you. It's not going to support you. Operating from a place like changes are going to happen. They're beyond mine and your control. So what do? Right? We don't get pissed off about it. And I'm not saying to be happy with them. I don't like any of these changes either. I'm not happy about any of them. But okay, like me just exhausting all my time, energy, and being a victim. Why is this happening? The guys are going to serve me. Right? Like right now, okay, I got to do what I got to do to be proactive. Okay, based on best case scenario, NAR changes go through, but the NAR settlement gets accepted, DOJ's everybody's happy. That's best case scenario right now. Worst case scenario is it gets cracked down much further, and I don't even know if just true decoupling with worst case scenario could even get worse than that, right? But okay, worst case scenario, let's just say buyer agency, 90% of it just wipes up and goes away and doesn't exist out there, right? Okay, how do we best prepare regardless? Okay, so number one, now real quick before I get into these changes here, look, if you guys need help in your real estate business, as I'm going through these different things, if you don't know what to do in your real estate business when it comes to how do I go out there and grow and expand my business, if you want to schedule, because right now I'm offering 100% free, zero pressure Zoom coaching calls with me personally. It's going to be an hour-long Zoom call with you and I. If you want to take advantage of that, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Okay, so what can we do to be proactive with the intel, the information that we have? Okay, number one, you need to start treating your business as a business. Can't wing it anymore. And the vast majority of you, I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just saying this because it's true. The vast majority of you that are watching, listening to this right now are winging your business. You're not treating it as a business, right? And those that are winging it, that are operating as amateurs, you are going to get crushed. Your business is probably already struggling. It's probably going to struggle that much more. And through these changes, you're probably not going to be able to make it. So what do I mean by treating your business as a business? Okay, like your operators, so treat your business as a business, meaning being a great operator. Okay, number one, you're obsessing over client acquisition. You got that in place where by client acquisition, I mean, okay, who are you targeting as the highest probability of needing your services? And you've got the most effective conversion strategies in place to go out there and generate those leads, convert those leads. Like you're obsessed over client acquisition strategy. Okay, number two, you got all your processes dialed in inside your business. Number three, okay, you got a system-based business that those processes live within. Number four, you are tracking your business, every major KPI inside your business, and then number five, you start plugging in the right people at the right time strategically inside your business. The two red flags that I always know if somebody is winging it and not treating their business as a business. Number one, you're not tracking your numbers at a very high level. Number two, if you show up in the office and you're like, okay, well, I'm here to work, but what am I going to do today? If you ever ask yourself that question, that means you're winging it. Like if you're treating your business as a business, you know exactly what you must do to show up each and every single day to go out there and win. What exact action steps you must do to win each and every single day inside your business. So I know some of this might sound basic, but just ask yourself, be honest with yourself. Oh, it sounds so basic. Well, why the hell am I still not doing it? Okay, next thing, making sure that you are niching down, right? So you've heard the statement out there that riches in the niches. Now, even if we move away this NAR settlement stuff right now, and as we get deeper and deeper in this economic winter, this AKA quote unquote silent depression that we are in, okay, it's coming down to you're targeting people that need to buy and sell, not that want to buy and sell. So who has the highest probability of needing your services in this marketplace? But then from there, start thinking about, so this is something I'm doing on a very high level. Okay, if buyer agency is massively disrupted, which I'm prepping and planning for, right? If it's massively disrupted, okay, what are the buyer niches that need my services, that are in a position that are willing to, but also in a position that are able to go out there and afford my services? So it's one particular niche as an example that I'm just pouring gasoline on the fire with, because I know that, okay, even if the DOJ gets their way and true decoupling happens, right? Okay, this one niche, I know needs me. They have no problem paying, my commission, like whatever my buyer representation fee is, they can afford it. So I'm just pouring gasoline on that fire at a very high level. So make sure that you are niching down, right? Okay, right now we got to be, and as this goes forward, because again, this is going to constrict transaction volume even more so. With all the moves that are taking place, and I'm not saying these are intentional, not intentional. I mean, what's going on right now with what we're talking about here in the podcast is intentional. Obviously the DOJ is trying to move these changes forward. Right. I'm talking about with the overall economy. Right. But if you start looking at, okay, what's taking place right now? Okay, it's getting harder and harder for people to hold on to the real estate that they have. Because not only, we got taxes skyrocketing, you got insurance skyrocketing. And why is insurance skyrocketing? Well, there's more natural disasters than there has been historically. Bullshit. That is not true. Like, go out there deep enough. Go do your due diligence on this. Right. Like, why is it going up? Now, I'm not saying people are colluding and making sure that they're just jacking up insurance rates, so less people can afford real estate. But it's, I'd like to know why it's going up. Now, it could be for other reasons, but it's not because of natural disasters are going up. But then you got insurance skyrocketing, you got taxes skyrocketing, cost of labor skyrocketing, right? Just cost of life skyrocketing. Now, the cost of life skyrocketing is intentional, right? This is all manufactured. This is intentional. Inflation is intentional. That is created by the powers that be, meaning the government and Federal Reserve working hand in hand together, right? So that is intentional. Right. To go out there and just break people right now, that is intentional, right? And when I say it's intentional, they're choosing to do it. I'm not saying that they planned, we're going to do this to break people. They're choosing to continue to do it, right? With that. But okay, it's like you look at everything going on right now. Okay, it's getting harder and harder for people to hold on to their properties. Then from there, it's getting much more difficult for people to go out there and acquire properties. So then, okay, transaction volume is going to probably a transaction volume is going to remain very low for a long time. Then people are like, well, man, because right now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but like FHA has kind of replaced subprime, right? So almost 11% of all FHA loans right now are in default. That's only about 3% lesser than what we saw in the peak of great financial crisis. People are like, where are all the foreclosures? Yeah, right. Okay, well, what's FHA doing? What's Fannie Mae doing as an example with these non-performing assets? They're just packaging them up, selling to private equity. Right. Like if they really cared about home affordability, they let these filter through, hit the market so we could get distressed sales to help bring the market prices back down real estate prices need to come down, 60%, now when that's going to be argued by other people of why I come up with that percentage, but most markets need to come down 60% to really adjust for, a home affordability based on median average incomes and whatnot there. But they're doing everything they can to not allow that to happen. They're trying to every asset class inflate at the highest possible level. So again, that's going to be lesser and lesser transaction volume, right? So with that, we need to be making sure that we're playing strategic offense. So strategy meaning, okay, who are we targeting with the highest probability that needs our services to buy and sell? Offense meaning I'm not waiting for shit to come to me right now, right? What can I do intentionally day in and day out to put deals together that's in my full control? The two biggest reasons why I'm seeing people, businesses getting crushed right now. Number one, and these are, it's not one's more important than the other. Both of these are extremely important. Number one, they're not treating their business as a business. Number two, they're not playing strategic offense. And strategic offense is two things. Right. Having enough, niching down at a high enough level, again, targeting, going after those that have the highest probability of needing our services, needing to buy or sell in this market. And then offense, meaning I am waiting for anything to come to me. Like, what am I doing to go after it that's in my full control, or my business is predictable and my daily actions will ensure my overall growth? Okay, so and I already kind of talked about this, treating your business to business, but making sure that your processes are dialed in, you guys. Make sure you got your systems and processes buttoned up, because all these changes are going to create more work for us, regardless whether it's NAR changes how they're, the settlements proposed right now, or the DOJ. Like either way, it's going to create more work. So one of the best ways to get your business to be highly effective and efficient is through systems and processes. So get those dialed in. Okay, then from there, next thing, this is not a time for balance. This is not like you got in business and in life, you have different seasons, you have times of peace, you have times of war. This is wartime. So with that, like, don't feel sorry for yourself because you got to work your ass off. Like what you got to make that commitment right now. Do I want this or do I want to become a statistic? Because either way, you're going to, like, what's your alternative? Going to drop out, go to the corporate world? Okay, like we're starting to see mass rounds of layoffs. We just had the biggest first quarter layoffs since we've seen since 2009, right? That's, so like, that's not a safe haven, right? You're gonna have to work your ass off in the corporate world too, right? But just right now is a time where just you got to focus on the right things. Don't be focusing on balance. Like focus on what do I got to do to grow, scale, and thrive, and make sure that not just because in order to thrive, you got to survive. Like what do I need to do, to go out there and dominate? So we got to work hard. We got to work smart. Okay. Then from there, make sure that you're dialing in your presentations. So you're dialing in and mastering your buyer consultation, dialing and mastering your listing presentation. Those are going to be that much more important through these changes. Make sure that you are dialing in your negotiation skill sets, dialing in your client acquisition strategies, dialing in again your processes and systems. All these things are extremely, extremely important. So just again, control what you can control. I get a lot of people that come to me right now like, well, do you think NAR sold us out? I'm like, I don't care. Right. And I'm not saying I don't care. I'm not saying, whatever, but I'm like, that doesn't need to have any of my focus and energy right now. It's like, okay, my house is on fire. My first objective, my first responsibility is to get my family out, get my animals out, my loved ones out. And once we're all to safety and everybody's out of harm's way, then from there, I'll go back and figure out who started that damn fire. So right now, like what good does it do me to go out there and play the blame game? Right now, what I need to be doing, what I recommend that you do, and what I am doing is I'm controlling what I can control. I'm focusing on what I can focus on. Right. We'll go find out who started the fire later and point the fingers. I can, make up our own, decisions at that time, from there. Right now, you should be putting all your time and energy on what do you need to do to be best prepared. I was just on a buddy of mine's podcast the other day. Hasn't been released yet. It was just 2 days ago. But on there, he, we were talking about the NAR stuff, and he made a comment about a lot of people, not taking this serious. And I was like, yeah, and the people need to be taking this stuff extremely serious, right? Because this is serious stuff, right? And this is one of the things, the best of the best in this industry, they take things seriously. I'm not saying they freak out. I'm not saying to freak out and shut down and, operate from fear we can't sleep. No, because that doesn't serve us either. Like we got to be calm amongst the storm, but pay attention to details, have awareness of what's going on, right? Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, or at least I think I said it. Yeah, at this point, even though we're what, 3 or 4 months away from this stuff rolling out, I mean, I've already spent about 40, I don't know if I had to calculate all the hours, 40, 50 hours into doing my due diligence, plus with team, I've got about 8 hours already of masterminds with my agents, my top agents. And, then I probably have about another 10 hours in masterminding with the, greatest minds in our industry, at least that are in my Rolodex that I really look up to in respect of, okay, what do we got to do to be in the best possible position, to ensure that we're going out there and thriving. Okay. So just make sure, again, treating your business as a business. Client acquisition strategies are dialed in. And when it comes to client acquisition, you guys hear me talk about this all the time, but it's so damn important. I'm going to repeat it really quickly. We've got the 3-legged stool of client acquisition, right? So number one, you got the reason why I call it 3-legged stool is if you remove a leg, okay, that thing falls over, right? So you got strategy. Number one, strategy when it comes to client acquisition is who am I targeting that has the highest probability of needing my services in this market? So just so you can kind of do an assessment on your own business. If you're doing a lot of lead gen and lead follow-up, but you're having a lot of conversations where you're like, okay, I'm having all these conversations, but man, nobody's motivated by or sell. You then have the wrong strategy, right? You got to be targeting those that have that urgency, those that need your services at the highest urgency, to go out there and buy and sell in this market. Number 2 is process. You got to make sure that you are maximizing and you understand how long, how frequent, how long and how frequent and through which mediums do I need to follow up to go out there and maximize conversions. All that low-hanging fruit's dried up. And again, it's going to contract more and more and more. Transaction volume is going to contract more and more and more unless things radically change, which, there's no move signifying these are going to change. So it's going to get harder and you're going to have less transactions, right? Not meaning you in your business. I'm talking industry overall. People are all like, oh, once interest rates come down, transactions are going to shoot up. Okay, they're 1% down from their all-time high, but mortgage applications, continue falling off of the cliff. They're down 16% year over year. So, I'm not saying, okay, if they got down to 2% again or 1% or 0%, right? If, they might not start picking up a little bit again, but, probably that happening is very slim to none, okay, we got to make sure that we are dialing in this stuff to maximize and optimize, on our overall conversions. Cause again, all that low hanging fruit's dried up. So then from their skill set, right? That's a third leg stool of client acquisition. Skill set is just how good are you at doing the things that you're doing? How good are you at navigating conversations? How good are you at setting appointments? How good are you at, conducting and converting those appointments? How good are you at, negotiations with your clients? Like all of those things, right? Skill sets just how good are we at doing the things that we're doing. If you don't have all three of those things dialed in, like you're going to experience a lot of resistance and going to continue to get your teeth kicked in. All right. So I'm going to end with this. Look, if you're an agent, which all of you are, right? If you're a real estate agent, team leader, or broker owner, and your business is not exactly where you want or need it to be, and you do not know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go, if that is you, I invite you to schedule a 100% free, 100% zero pressure Zoom coaching call with me personally. It's going to be an hour-long Zoom call together. We're going to break down where your business is at, what your 12-month goals are, what your long-term goals and visions are, what you're currently doing, what your biggest obstacles are. Then from there, I'm going to map out exactly what I recommend that you do. Like, hey, if we were to switch shoes, if I were in your shoes, if I were you, here's exactly what I would do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. And you have my word on this. I will make sure that you do not leave this hour-long Zoom coaching call together with not knowing exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go. Even though this is free, I will make sure, like, you can't go pay a coach on this planet $2,000, right, to go out there and supply the free information that I'm going to give you on this call, right? I'm extremely certain in that, extremely confident in that. That might not have been a claim that I made when I first started delivering these, but the constant thing, I've had people tell me I jump on these, that they paid $30,000 for coaches in the last 2 years. And this 1 hour free call was more powerful than that. So I'm not here to waste your time. I'm going to get you dialed in. I got your back. I will make sure that you know exactly what you must do to get from where you're at to where you want to go on this 100% free. And again, it's 100% free, zero pressure. You got nothing to lose, everything to gain. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, go to www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. www.gsdmode.com/Zoom call. Once you book it, you're going to land on a really important video to watch to make sure that you are prepped and prepared for the call, right? Because how you show up, I want to make sure you're ready for this, right? To get the maximum out of it. It's not just me giving you information. Like, you got to make sure that you're prepped and ready for it too. So real quick video, just make sure to watch that whole thing, and I will see you on that call. All right, you guys, keep crushing it, keep kicking ass. I'll talk to you next time. Peace.